Hi guys, now if you're like me and you've been gambling for a while, then there's a good chance you've amassed a rather impressive collection of these bad boys, obviously threatening letters from debt collection agencies. Now gambling and debt do go hand in hand. You might not be at that stage yet, but the chances are if you continue to gamble, then unfortunately at some point you will end up there. Probably, if you're watching this video, you are at least partway there. And what I want to do in this video is explain to you how I went from that situation 18 months ago to the situation I am in today. And I'm still in debt. There is no quick fix, okay? You might have seen an advert, possibly even at the beginning of this video, with someone promising to write off 90% or write off 70% of your debt. You know, I'm just about to make the last repayment on my debt, and I'm sure you've seen those videos time and time again here on YouTube. Now, there are ways in which you can write off small amounts of your debt, and in a later video, maybe I will address that. Okay, but if you are watching this video in the hope of a quick, easy fix, then unfortunately I'm not going to be able to provide that. In the same way that there is no quick solution to quitting gambling, there is no quick solution to repaying the debt associated with your gambling problem. Okay, but unlike 18 months ago, I can now afford to repay my debt. I'm not getting those letters anymore. The pile is not getting any larger. My phone isn't ringing every hour from unknown numbers, suspected fraud, debt collectors. That's not happening. Okay, and I'm sleeping at night. Sometimes. Right, so that is how I've transitioned in the last 18 months from someone who is drowning in debt, who can't sleep, who's suffering mentally, whose relationships are suffering, whose work is suffering, and is being bombarded from all directions by phone calls, letters, threats from these kind of companies, to someone who has it under control. Like I say, I'm still in debt, but it's under control, and that's what I want to talk about today. Now, if you're in a similar situation, I will stress that this is my experience, and this comes purely from, what I did and what I found worked for me. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a debt advisor. If you want proper, decent debt advice, can I recommend going to someone like Step Change or a debt management agency, and they also give really good debt advice, and I will link them in the description below. I can't believe I've got to the stage of YouTube where I'm now pointing at links in descriptions. My apologies. And I've got a light box as well. Yeah, I know. Bad, isn't it? Anyway. Like I say, there's no quick cure, but what you need to do, the very first thing you need to do is breathe. And then you need to get your pen and paper out, get your Excel spreadsheet out, and you need to take stock of where you are. And that includes writing down, listing every debt, who you owe it to, the current balance. And if you need to find a current balance, you either go onto your online account, okay, or if you're getting these all the time, then it'll be right there at the top. They love to tell you how much you owe them. Or if the worst comes to the worst, give the company a call, get a current balance on your account. Sometimes it can be a bit of a wild goose chase, actually finding out who you owe the money to. If it's been a while and you've been burying your head like we all do, then maybe you'll have to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole, going from one company to the debt recovery company, and they've sold it to someone else, and they've sold it to someone else, and then you've got to actually find out who you owe the money to. But eventually you'll get there, and then write down a list of everyone you owe money to, what it's for, how much it is, and then put a big total at the bottom and put it in bold and highlight it in red and cry and go and have a beer and breathe again and come back and continue to take stock of your situation, because I guarantee that big bold red number at the bottom is going to be bigger than you expected it to be. But that's not always bad news, okay? It means you've stopped burying your head in the sand. You've taken your head out the sand, you've taken stock, and you've addressed it, and that is now what you have to address. The next step in this debt recovery process is to prioritise. And when we talk about prioritise in terms of debt, people will always say your priority debts, and your priority debts are very, very important. However, you also need to prioritise yourself. Okay, you need to prioritise you, your family, your mental health, your sanity, the whole lot. Okay, you need to look after yourself. That is incredibly important. If you don't look after yourself, then not only are you doing yourself a disservice, you're going to fail in addressing your debts, because you're just going to go back into old habits, because you're not going to be able to cope with this new lifestyle you've created for yourself. Okay, in another video, what I'll do is I'll talk about completing income and expenditure forms. Okay, because this is a very, very important part. You need, throughout this whole process of repaying your debts, you need to make sure that you still have your life. Okay, and I don't mean existence. I mean, you have a life. Yes, you're going to have to forego luxuries. Yes, you are going to have to pay out a certain amount of your salary, income, whatever, every month to go towards fixing this problem that you've created over years, like I created over many years. And this is just a very small sample, to be honest. Most have probably got pulped years ago, right? you've created this big problem, and it's you that needs to sort it out. Okay, not some guru who wants to write off 90% of your debts, because it doesn't happen. Okay, I'll explain how sometimes you can pay back a bit less, like I say, in a bit of a later video. So firstly, what you need to do is protect yourself and your money. A lot of dubious payday loan companies, dodgy lines of credit, will have access to your bank account. They will have things called CPAs, continuous payment authorities. Now, CPAs aren't like direct debits. Direct debits you set up, you pay them a monthly amount, based on your original loan agreement or your original repayment schedule. Okay, and that money will come out each month. If you can't pay it, it will bounce, or if you don't want to pay it, to buy yourself some time, you can cancel it at any point. CPAs are insidious. Okay, and if you've had payday loans, the chances are they have CPAs on your account. And what that means is at any point, if you owe them money, they can use your debit card details or whatever card you registered with them to try and take a payment. And if they can't take the full payment because you haven't got the money, they'll try and take smaller and smaller payments until they get some money out of you. So you might be there on the last week of the month, and if you're in a similar situation that I was, then you will know this, and you'll think, right, I'm in the last week of the month, I've only got 40 quid, but that's okay. That's fuel to get to work, a bit of food, I'll be all right till payday. And then you'll see that some slimy little bastard of a company have taken that 40 quid because they've tried smaller and smaller amounts until they get to a point where they can take some money off you. So in order to keep yourself safe and to keep yourself sane, you have to keep your money safe. And the easiest way to do that is set up a new bank account. Okay. Now, it used to be a lot harder to set up a bank account than it is now. Okay, do what I did. Get yourself a Monzo account. Get yourself, one of those online accounts. Okay, put your priority direct debit set up from that account. Make sure you get your employer to put your wages over there, or if you're receiving benefits or anything like that, make sure that all your income gets paid into this safe account, and don't give those account details to anyone. Set up direct debits for mortgage, rent, council tax, okay, and anything, and this is where I talk about priority debts, anything that has a legal implication attached to it, or anything that if you don't pay it might lead to you not having a roof over your head, or not have running water, or not have heating or electricity or light or whatever. Okay, so set up only the direct debits that are absolutely required to keep you legal. So council tax, car insurance, car tax, and also keep a roof over your head. So your mortgage, your rent, your heating, your lighting, basically electricity, gas, water. Okay. So do that, but don't give those bank account details to any, certainly not to any of these bastards, all right? Keep them safe. That's bought you time, all right? You're not paying anyone now, and they will start coming, and those letters will start coming, and the phone calls will start coming, okay? Then what you do is you have to go through each one of those, and you have to contact them. Now, at this point, what I would say is a good idea is to change your phone number, unless there's absolutely 100% a stonewall reason why you need to keep exactly the same phone number you've always had. Change your phone number and give that phone number only to friends, family, and people that you actually want to hear from. Bin the old phone, all right? Bin the old phone number, not your phone. Might get a few quid for that. Okay, and don't let any of these bastards know. But do contact them. I will speak, throughout this, I will say it's your responsibility to sort this out, and it's your responsibility to pay that money back. You borrowed it, you spent it, lost it, whatever, so you will have to pay this money back. Okay, but you do it on your terms, and you do it in a way that's comfortable to you, and don't let them pressure you. Write to each of them and ask to only be contacted by post. Okay, you can even email them, ironically, and ask them to only be contacted by post. So you won't be contactable by phone, and to remove any phone numbers you have from their accounts. Okay, you can, contrary to public belief, you can cancel continuous payment authorities. So if you haven't got your safe account set up yet, and it should only take a few days, contact them and say, I'm asking you to cancel my continuous payment authority, and they don't have the legal rights to deny that. They have to do that. They will make all sorts of threats and say, you have to pay this, otherwise we're going to send the boys round or whatever. They won't. Okay, you will get breathing space. And when you write to these companies, ask them specifically for that breathing space. Explain the situation. Gambling addiction is so widely known about now. It's much less the taboo that it was many years ago. Unfortunately, that's mainly because it's on the rise, but it's now something that is very, very recognised medically as an insidious addiction. So you can use your gambling addiction to leverage breathing space with these companies. Tell them that this is why you're in the debt. Tell them that the reason you can't repay them is because you've overcommitted to credit because of your gambling addiction. This won't be dishonest. This is laying it down and being honest with them. And explain to them at this point that you do intend, you do want to repay this money. Okay, but you need 60 days, 90 days, whatever you choose to ask for, in order to get everything in order, and then come back and tell you will come back to them in due course with an offer of repayment. Then what you need to do is get organised, because the letters are going to start flooding in. Okay, giving you balances. A lot of them will ask for certain payments. Ignore what they're requesting. Okay, but get really, really good at admin. Save every letter. Up until now, if you have been receiving threatening letters, there's a chance you're going to be just bunging them in a box somewhere, or they're stuffed at the bottom of your backpack, or under your bed, or in your sock drawer, where you hope no one will see them. Okay, but get them, save them, flatten them out, file them, and keep a record on this spreadsheet that you've built of every balance, every payment, when the payment was made, and keep track. Get good at admin, and then you can breathe. Okay, you can relax. The debt's still there, and that will be addressed, and you will need to pay it. Okay, but you can now relax. You know that no one's going to be able to steal your wages when they go into your account. You know that your rent, your water, your electricity, all your priority bills, your car insurance, your car tax is being paid, and the rest of the money will sit in your account so you can feed your family, so you can put petrol in your car, and so, shock horror, you can have a little bit of a life. Now, I'm not saying go out and spunk that money on champagne down the club. Okay, God, I just sounded old there, didn't I? But that's your money. Okay, that will eventually go towards paying back some of this debt, but it's not their money at this point. Okay, it's up to you to decide how to repay them. It has to be fair, it has to be reasonable, and it has to be justifiable. You can't say to all of your creditors, I'm going to give you, 50p a month for the next 150 years. That's not reasonable. But you've asked for breathing space. 99% of the time, you'll get given that by any creditors, any debt recovery firm. Okay, they will just be pleased that you have got in touch with them, that you've made contact, and you have shown willingness to address the situation. And then you can address it. And in the next video, I'm going to talk about how to address it, who to address first, and what to offer them. And I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for watching.